Hi
Hi
everyone.
everyone.
Welcome back. Life with Keyne and Malcolm.
We're back.
We're back. Season 2, episode 1 in the house.
He's very excited if you cannot tell.
It's good to be back.
Good to be back. This feels good. It feels right.
It does.
It feels like home. This is where we're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we left you guys last after our honeymoon, our amazing honeymoon, representing our names and going back to the origin of our names, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And we're still on a honeymoon.
Agreed.
We're still on a honeymoon.
Absolutely. Well, it don't stop. Get it.
It doesn't stop. Okay. Yeah. That. So. That was in July. Wow. And feels like we're almost back in July, back in June.
Right.
But, we talked to you guys last about now we're bringing our blended family together under one roof. And so we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on just everything that's been happening in our lives, and just sharing a lot about things that have happened and how to overcome, how to persevere, how to get through, and how to understand your purpose and your why, and maybe why things happen the way they do and when they do. And so let's share a little.
All right, let's jump into it.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Well, let's go to October the 6th.
Yes.
October the 6th is when we received a call that no parent ever wants to receive.
Yeah.
We received a call that our son, Malcolm Isaiah, was shot in the head. And so that was devastating call, a mighty blow. It was around 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:55 in the morning, when we received this call. And immediately we began to figure out what I needed to do to get there. My wife, she starts working her magic, checking all flights and doing everything we could do to get me there ASAP. And so, but prior to getting back to Pittsburgh, of course, we're going through all these different thoughts, and but we're staying in faith. We're staying in faith. We're believing. We're trusting God. We knew that he was shot, but we were believing God every step of the way. But going back to that phone call, waking up in the middle of the night. It's crazy when I think about how we were, talking to Malcolm, and I had sent him a text message with an audio recording to him, encouraging him and speaking words of life into him, and then get a call like this. My wife and I, we prayed, we sought the Lord, and then next thing I know, I'm on a plane. I'm on a plane on my way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And while I was on that plane, I had made it up in my heart and my mind, no matter what I see, no matter what he looks like, I'm trusting God. I am believing God that he would rise up again.
Yeah. And for me, of course, you guys know our background. If you watch season 1, I'm a neurosurgeon, pediatric neurosurgeon. I do adult spine as well. And so, I'm used to being on the other end of this call. I'm used to being the one in the ER, putting in the drain and taking the patient to the operating room. And, it was different. Now I find myself, I'm the one having to be spoken to by the neurosurgeon. I'm the one now in that room talking to the neurosurgeon, and the neurosurgeon telling me, what they see and what they feel that the outcome is going to be. And you never realize just how your words and how you not only the words you use, but how you say what you say, and how it impacts the family and how it impacts the parents. And so for me, of course, I know everything as far as what this means when they say where the bullet went through and what his exam looks like. I know in my mind because again I've seen this. I've been on the other side. But as a parent, you are only thinking, I want everything done, and however we can save my child, that's what I want, and that's what I want to see, and that's what I want to have happen. And so I remember talking to the neurosurgeon, who was very kind, and basically was like, okay, you're a neurosurgeon, you tell us what you want us to do. And I thought that was great. I did feel the pressure of that as well. But I also, in my mind, and of course, you don't think as a neurosurgeon now, you're thinking as a parent. And so again, you're in the mode, I want him to live. I want you to do everything you can possibly do. And that's kind of where I was. So
Yeah, you definitely had a dual role, mom and doctor. So,
yeah.
and I'm so grateful for you because God does all things well.
Yes.
When He put us together, and then I remember some people coming up to us, coming up to you, like in particular, saying, "Oh, we can see why God put y'all together, because you helped me to be relaxed as far as the process and talking to the doctors. I had you for that. I have you for that." And so it was very comforting and very reassuring. I didn't have to do it alone. I didn't have to, answer the hard questions alone. And I felt confident that even when I didn't know what was going on, I said, "Okay, my baby, she knows what's going on. She got this." But I thank God for how He really just orchestrated and put us together so that we can help each other. For you to be there for me, but at the same time for me to be there for you as well. And so, back again on October 6, 2024, I walked into the hospital, and there was a room full of people in the hospital, and in the waiting room, there for Malcolm Isaiah. And so immediately I began to gather us all, and we just prayed immediately. And then I walked into that room. Ooh, saw Malcolm bandaged up, and he was swollen in every area of his body, swollen. But I still was okay. I wasn't moved by what I saw. And I just thank God because we talk about faith, we talk about the Word of God, and we talk about we believe God, we trust God. But it's in that moment,
Yeah.
when things are crazy and chaotic, are you really going to trust Him? And I was trusting Him. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I say that to say what was in me came out of me.
Yeah.
Feeding on that Word, praying and seeking Him. So when I walked in that room, it came out of me. And so Malcolm Isaiah, his heart was beating strong. And you can see as the days went by, his body outwardly was healing. And we would believe in God every step of the way. There were folks came to us talking about donating his organs. We're like, okay, we hear you, but we don't hear you. We are trusting God. So much happened during that time. People
praying for all over.
Absolutely, people praying for Malcolm Isaiah all around the world. Powerful, yes. Encouraging.
It was amazing. I think for me, and just to go back to I'm sure you're curious, like what happened? What happened? So he was a graduate of Keyne University. Wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Wanted to go into comedy, and so he did not see himself in a three-piece suit and walking into someone's office or his own office. He saw himself bringing laughter and love and joy to people, which he absolutely did every day and made it a point to do that. And so, as that was his passion, he realized too that, okay, I don't see myself in an office in this kind of job. So he had a lot of odd and end jobs, and ended up being about 3 or 4 jobs he had, I think. But one of the jobs was as a security guard at a Mediterranean restaurant, which after hours became a hookah lounge. And so that Sunday morning, he was actually working. And he had asked his manager or one of the supervisors that he worked under if he could close early. And they said yes. It was slow at the time, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And a young man, 24-year-old, came to the door, and Malcolm Isaiah said, "Sorry, we're closed." And the young man went back to his car, retrieved his gun from the car, and despite so I guess some other friends that were with him trying to discourage him from doing that, he went back up to the restaurant and unloaded his entire gun on the restaurant, and one of the bullets struck Malcolm Isaiah in the head. He was the only one that was hit, the only one injured. And so from there, Malcolm Isaiah was actually still breathing.
Yes.
And they of course rushed him to the hospital at that point. So he was doing his job. It was an area, a suburb actually of Pittsburgh, where this happened. So it was a nice area, not a bad area, but this is still unfortunately what took place.
Yeah, and when the doctors came to us, and they gave us the report, and you can see it on their face, in their eye, like he's gone. But to us, we stayed true to our faith. We stayed close together, and that's something I want to touch on. How we didn't lose each other, and how we didn't separate. We clung to one another, and so. Sometimes when things like this happen, the husband and the wife, the parents, they separate. They don't know what to do. Exactly. They feel like they don't know what to do. Instead of coming together, they drift apart. We stayed together. We stayed close, and we were there for each other every step of the way. We felt what we felt, but we felt it together. We didn't try to carry it on our own. I couldn't carry it on my own, because as you all know, if you watched our podcast, 19 months prior to Malcolm Isaiah being shot, his mother, my late wife Wanda, died of a cardiac arrest, and so everything was coming full circle. But to be with someone who absolutely loves you unconditionally and who can walk beside you, faith to faith, breast to breast, shoulder to shoulder, is something powerful. I'm gonna say that again. Faith. What did I say? Actually, faith to faith, breast to breast, shoulder to shoulder. So that was good for me. It's I hope that was good for you. So I think that's so important. It's so necessary to stay together, to stay as one, and not to separate. And our faith has kept us and is keeping us, because as we walked through that every day, getting up in the morning, early in the morning, going to the hospital, staying all day, believing God. I mean, it's very exhausting, very trying. Especially you have to, not only are you convincing yourself that he's going to rise up, but you have to convince the doctors and others that he's going to rise up. And so it's very exhausting, very tiring, but it can be done. And we did it by the grace of God. In and of ourselves, we could not. But by the grace of God, we kept standing, we kept fighting. And make a long story short, October 6th, we got the news. October the 12th, we go to an operating room. because they're now we're go to operating room.
So he did have two positive brain death evaluations,
Yes.
and so meaning that we even did a scan which showed brain flow study, which showed that there was no brain flow getting to the brain, and then we do some extensive exams, which they actually asked me to be a part of the actual exam. And so I was able to do that. I still look back at that and I'm like, how did I do that? That was nothing but by the grace of God, truly by the grace of God. But we were able to do that, and the exam showed that there was no brainstem activity. As you know, our brainstem is what keeps us alive, and so they had said, okay, well, he's had two brain death evaluations, so he is, by our definition, he's dead. He is no longer with us, and so we then decided. So we did speak to the organ donation folks and team, and we did decide that okay, his organs can save a lot of other lives, and I'm so happy that we made that decision. That was just a great decision for us, and obviously for the other patients who needed his organs to live and to continue to live.
And we said to the doctor, and the core, we spoke to the team of core, and we said, we are trusting and believing God. Mm-hmm. And so we said, if Malcolm Isaiah, if his heart if his heart beats on his own, and if he breathes on his own, are you prepared to help our son? And they looked at us like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we said
because
again.
It's after extubation. So yeah. we wanted a cardiac death. So you can have a brain death and declare someone brain dead, and that they can procure the organs. Or you can have a one-way extubation, but we weren't believing it was going to be one way. But you extubate the patient and you wait for their heart to stop, so it becomes a cardiac death. And so we, of course, as believers and believing that this is going to be our Lazarus situation, and so we said, we want a cardiac death, and we want to be in the OR when he is extubated.
Yes, and so we are there now in the operating room, and we're believing for his heart to beat on its own, and we're expecting him to breathe on his own. And when he did not, when his heart stopped beating, and when he stopped breathing, then as his father, I absolutely walked away feeling like I did everything I could do. I fought for my son. I fought for him. I advocated for him. We fought for him. We advocated. And I was at peace. And so I do want to touch on how my wife here, not Malcolm Isaiah's biological mother, but the way she responded and her body responded after we saw that Malcolm's heart stopped and his breathing stopped, it was as if Malcolm came from your body. And so I want to talk about that. And I know that's not easy, but I want to talk about that because I think it's so important for blended families to really understand. Like when I think of my children, all my children, even the ones that didn't come from my loins, I think of them as my children, all my children. I don't see stepchildren. These are my children. And so, and I rarely say the word stepchildren or use the word stepchildren, but I use it sometimes because to identify. But I rarely say that because I figured you can figure it out on your own if you want. But these are my children. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Your experience and how you felt, what you went through.
Yeah. So exactly, what you said. I mean, you even though you didn't give birth to this child, um, once God put us together, and once I knew that you were my promise, that was everyone. That was all four children. It wasn't just you. God had already said, these are your children, and you are to care for them as Wanda would have cared for them, and you are to guide them and lead them and mother them. And so it's almost instantaneously. So when he didn't breathe again, when his heart stopped, it literally felt like, I don't know how many women can understand this, but it was like your uterus was being pulled out of your body and everything had left you. It was it's so hard to kind of put into words. But it's a feeling that I pray to never feel again, one, but that I would never even want anyone else to feel.
Absolutely.
And, again, being on the other side and having to tell parents that, their child is gone, or having to be there, not actually telling them, but being there when they lose a child. I understand that pain. I understand that grief. I understand what it can physically do to the body.
Yeah.
And physically, my body took a hit. I had some blood pressure issues. we'll get into that later, but it does, and so what we now want to get into is how do you recover from something like that? How do you pull yourself up from something like that? And to watch my husband, I mean, that was just amazing. I couldn't even talk. I mean, he's taking care of me. And, I'm looking at, like, Malcolm, Isaiah really did come from your loins. He had your name. Like, everything. And here I feel like I'm, he's handling it a lot better than I was. But I saw God all over him, and the example and what he had to be at that time. And then we got to a moment where I then had to be the one holding you up, which was my pleasure and an honor, because I knew you needed your time too, to grieve, to have your breakdown, to have your moment. I was grateful that God didn't have us both,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
at the
Right.
same place at the same time. And so, one of the things that my husband did was he went back upstairs, and it was a waiting room full of people. And really every day, all those 7 days that Malcolm Isaiah was in that ICU, which isn't an easy place to be in, there was never less than, I want to say, like 50 people in and out. It was, and that just showed us the type of man Malcolm Isaiah is, and who he was to people. And we didn't even know the impact
Right.
that he had on this world and on people's lives. That was just, I mean, from the youngest to the oldest. It was absolutely amazing. And we saw that his time here wasn't futile. It wasn't.
Not at all.
He had such purpose that he fulfilled, and that he's continuing to live on. Right, we did donate his organs, and so he's continuing to give and to give life, and living life to the fullest, just in other people. And so we're just so grateful. I think is the word. We're just so full and so grateful,
Yes.
for God using him the way that he did, and in such a powerful way. I mean, there were people who were telling us, that he encouraged them and really literally saved their lives, kept them from committing suicide. And I think, I even looked at my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do I encourage people like that? Do I share God's love, and am I a light for people everywhere I go? which he was at his workplace. Everywhere he went, they just loved seeing him and loved what he had to say. And I think that was incredible. So my husband goes upstairs and he tells everyone Malcolm Isaiah's with the Lord, but he encourages. I mean, tell some of what you.
Yeah, so it was pretty. It was God, all God, and because, as my wife said, after Malcolm went to be home, we go home after Malcolm went home to be with the Lord. I immediately had to minister to my wife, encourage my wife to be there for her. And then, and also in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to say to these people upstairs? What am I,
including our children?
Including our children. What am I going to say? Mm-hmm. So I had no time to grieve. I had no time to be sad, because I was feeling so much, but I just didn't have time to let myself go and just feel it all because, which I love being there for my wife, love helping to encourage her, to be there for her so that she would never ever feel like she's alone. Absolutely love it. Being that husband for her, that protector, that provider. I love all that for her. And for the people that were upstairs and our children, I was like, okay, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? And so I don't know what I'm going to say until we walk in the room. And then the words came out of my mouth. And that we're not going to glorify the shooter, but that we're going to focus on Malcolm. And this video went out, and over 151,000 people heard this video, this heartfelt video, heartfelt words about Malcolm Isaiah and how our faith is not in vain. Mm-hmm. Our faith is not in vain. And I was thinking about the people all around the world praying for him. Everybody, as my wife said, that came in and out of the hospital, believe in God. Our faith is not in vain. And to have Malcolm Isaiah and the precious memories. And Malcolm Isaiah, if you look him up on YouTube, he has multiple videos. He has a lot of videos just full of life, just in goofball, true goofball. And so all that makes me proud as a father, and just all the people that came to us about him and what he did, like my wife said, and even on his homegoing celebration, which was a powerful celebration. You can find that service on Facebook as well. The full service was such a powerful service, full of life. And so when I walked up in, but going back to that waiting room, when I walked into that waiting room, and you can see the sadness all in the eyes of the people, and I wanted to say, Malcolm is alive, he's up, but I could not do that. And but I was encouraged then, and I am encouraged now by the life of Malcolm Isaiah, and he makes me want to live all the more, makes me want to keep on keeping on and helping other folks. And his life, I can feel his laughter even now. I can feel his presence even now, so to speak, because he was just larger than life in so many different ways. And so he gives me the strength to just keep on keeping on.
And I think that's good too. People are always like, and it's a hard time, and it's a hard thing when someone loses a child, especially. What do I say? What do I say to that person? And the best thing I think for us was just hearing how Malcolm touched their lives. Yes. and the awesome things that he did, and how he still, because there's people who still watch his YouTube videos when they need a laugh. No, I mean that's and it's just it's great to hear. It's refreshing to hear how your child has impacted someone. That could be at any age. And I think about, my patients, and it's like, wow, just for the parent to hear just their smile, or just when I walk in a room, they'd always acknowledge me or say, "Hi, Dr. Johnson," or give me a hug. It just made me feel so good. And it almost makes you feel like they're still here with you. And so it does. It helps through the grief. It helps just to see the great things that they did. And I think, and I know, I don't just think, but the people who were there at his home, his celebration of life service, everyone walked away with something like, "I'm going to walk more." And I think, because he loved to walk, and he loved to take walks. And so we were like, "I'm going to walk like Malcolm walked," or "I'm going to encourage people like he encouraged people." So you saw that people were being changed, and just because of his life. And that was just so awesome, even as I think about it now. And I think we say that, like, "Let's go for a walk." And we would call people. We're like, "Are you doing your walk?" Absolutely. And "Are you going for your walk?" And, of course, there's health benefits to it. There's so many. You clear your mind, and you have a peace. You bring down your blood pressure. So many great things about walks. And he would walk, and he would talk to the Lord, or he would make funny videos, but it was his time. It was his time, and for him, it was therapeutic. And so,
and when I say, I feel his presence, it's not that I actually feel his presence in this room, but because of our quality time.
Yeah.
Because of our time together, we were very intimate. Very honest, very real. Sometimes he would say things, I'm like, "Oh, dude, you can hold that. You keep that to yourself. I am your dad. I am your dad." But he was so real, so raw, which I love, because he was so free, free in every area of his life, literally. And so that's what I hold on to, and that's what I can feel. And so he was such a joy. He also got on my nerves too. Goodness gracious, this dude, oh my gosh. I threatened to kick him out a couple times. I did. But Wanda said, "No, don't let him go." He always kept coming back. But no, in all honesty, Malcolm was a great kid, a great son, someone that I didn't mind spending time with, someone that I didn't mind being home with, and even in his adult years, he was home.
And he let you know how he felt about you, and I think that was just, but that's a lot like you. Like he, I always tell people, he never got off the phone with me without saying "I love you."
Yeah.
And that, it means that you're a 25, 26-year-old man.
Absolutely.
Say "I love you."
And that's why it was easy to keep him, let him. He's like, but I said to him, I said, "Son, won't you just build up your money? Don't worry about running out into the world." And that's because he was respectful.
Yeah,
he was very appreciative. He appreciated everything that we did for him, and it makes you want to do more. It made me want to do more because of how appreciative and loving and kind he was.
Yes. So he definitely had a positive impact on us, and had a positive impact on this world. And that's one of the things that helped us to overcome and move forward and push on. And we knew that this was a sacrifice, and we knew that behind this sacrifice there's even more purpose. And I think we even started to look at each other, and one of the things we said, we're not a couple, we're a commission.
Yes, we are.
And I know God has commissioned us to do just some great things. And this was, even though some may see it as, wow, you just got married.
Right.
And to have this basically devastating tragedy, that could be a setback. But I think we have been set up
Absolutely.
to do some great things, and to even honor Malcolm Isaiah with what we're doing, and how he's propelled us to go forward. We're using his life to live.
Absolutely.
And to encourage others to live and live to the fullest. I mean, really live. As you say, don't just exist, but to live.
That's right.
And yeah.
That's right. And don't give up. It's important not to give up, and it's very important that we make sure that we just don't throw in the towel. You know, when things get rough, things get tough. It's so important that we don't do that.
Like, what, babe?
Like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Cut the music. Cut the tape. Everything. I'm gone.
Yeah. We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing
But
that.
in the
But we're going to stay close
we're going to stay close.
and even closer.
Yeah, and the truth be told, I as you all know, I was married for 28 years, and so Wanda, she learned me. She learned my ways. She learned how I do things, how I say things. So, and I learned Wanda. I learned her ways and what I could expect or not expect. And so now I'm married to Keena Kristen Johnson Nolan, and I'm learning all over again how to work with somebody else. And I'm also finding out what's in me, because I thought I thought that I dealt with some things, but I said, oh no, Wanda just tolerated some things that Keena is not going to tolerate. And
That's real talk.
And that's real talk. And that's very challenging because, you know, with everything that has happened in our lives, and so much has happened that where we both could have ran. We both could have ran. And there was times I felt like, oh God, I'm out of here. That's just real time, honestly. But that's because I was challenged in areas that I haven't been challenged before, or was challenged in areas, but then we learned how to deal with it or work with it. At least I thought, and now being able to really see how God has commissioned us and see how God has brought us together. And now we're working with each other. We're learning each other's ways. We're understanding each other. And we're deciding to move forward, but to be healed, to be whole, to be one, to be honest, to be truthful, to be
Transparent.
to be kind to one another, to show grace to one another, and to not put these unfair expectations on each other. And I think for me at times, I put some unfair expectations on my wife, because I'm like, okay, we got to be like this, we got to do it like that. No, we were learning, we're growing. Although she's a wonderful wife, a great wife, we're still growing, still learning, still adjusting. And so it's work, but it's a good work. It's great work. A work that I choose to continue with and to go on with instead of throwing in the towel. I will not throw in the towel. I will not let my baby go. Yeah, I won't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Never.
Never.
And so we're going to come back. We're going to talk about our blended family.
Yes.
Our blended family, which throws in some other
Woo.
challenges. And
Yes. It's something.
yes. So we're excited to come back and share some more. And let us know. And we didn't mention your new look.
Oh yeah.
My husband has a new look this season. So we're liking the beard.
Thank you.
Let us know what you guys think about the beard. That was my idea. So
it was, because
we'll see.
like, nah.
We'll see what the people say, babe.
Yeah, let's see what the people say.
See what people say. All right. Well, that's it for now.
Life
With Keena and Malcolm. Bye for now.